Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I got a special guest coming onto the show today. He's been on the show previously. My boy NBAJNUNN, one of the best hoop talkers on the gram and on Twitter, the biggest Kevin Durant stan in the world, and also the guy who's all about a bag. If you know, you know. And I think all of America last night was watching J-Nunn, the Golden State Warriors take on the Brooklyn Nets, and they ran them out of the building. So I want to be discussing that today, but also I want to talk about your Atlanta Hawks in a little bit. And we'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. But I got two questions for you specifically when it comes to the Nets and the Warriors. One, is Kevin Durant still the best player in basketball? And two, do the Golden State Warriors and the Brooklyn Nets still come out of their conferences respectively? I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Now, before we begin today's video, I'd like to give a huge shout out to FLTeams.com, who I've partnered and collab with. At FLTeams.com, we do sports articles and blogs on the daily regarding sports teams in the state of Florida from the collegiate and at the professional level. If you guys would like to go check out FLTeams.com, I will link to them down below. And also, don't forget to drop me one of these.
On that first question, yes, indeed, KD is still the best basketball player in the league. I mean, he had a bad game for his standards last night against the Warriors. But if you look at him this season, he's been amazing. He's been averaging 29 or like 57% shooting. He's been crazy efficiency-wise and scoring-wise. I think he's the best scorer in the league. I see why some people could put Steph above him because Steph is still an elite scorer while being just a god-tier playmaker. But KD's playmaking has also been great this year, and he is a better defender than Steph. I think he's a better scorer, like I said before, so I'll still take KD on my end.
Okay. Off the rip, yeah, I disagree with you. I think I take Steph Curry. Heading in from last season, from the play-in, what Golden State did and what Steph Curry did to get them even into the play-in tournament versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Obviously, they weren't good enough to get over the hump and into the playoffs. Steph Curry was putting up MVP-like performances, and he's followed that up in a big way this season. Steph Curry, I actually think, is the better offensive player. And I know you want to talk about the 7-foot guy who can pull up from 40 any given day, but Steph Curry's presence in itself is the offense. These guys getting 2-3 guys drawn to him attention as soon as he crosses half court. That is something that's going to help create for the Golden State Warriors. Guys can get backdoor cuts. And Steph Curry put on 37, 5 and 7 last night. I'm not just referring to last night with the Golden State Warriors and the Brooklyn Nets game. You're right. KD had a little bit of a flop. I mean, KD was only 19, 5 and 3. Just overtakes what Kevin Durant does. And it's not because Kevin Durant can't facilitate, and it's not because Kevin Durant can't score. But Steph Curry's followed it up in a big way this season, man. 28, 6 and 6. You can't say enough about it.
And that, I would say, I feel like every night except last night, of course, KD is just a lock to go get like 30 every night. And Steph, he obviously is a lock too. But when you look at his performances, like especially in the playoffs in his career, he just has some of those games where he can be very underwhelming, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of attention does get drawn to him, so he often is still making a big impact on the floor by just like, he's a great shooter. So, he's drawing 2 to 3 guys, like you said, and other people are going to be open. So his impact is crazy. I really think it's like a 1A, 1B thing. But if I had to choose one, I'm taking KD.
Yeah, and I think it's the same thing too. I mean, it's 1A, 1B. I had Kevin Durant as the best player heading into this season, but I mean, through the first month of the season, I think it's definitively Steph Curry, and everything's subject to change, and you're right. What you said about Steph Curry being a little bit underwhelming, he has tended to be underwhelming compared to his normal standards in the regular season versus in the playoffs. There's a significant difference. Steph Curry's only had a handful of amazing, notable finals performances, and one of them came against the Toronto Raptors. But Kevin Durant, when he was with the Warriors, was the best player on that court every single time. It wasn't Steph, it wasn't Clay, and it wasn't Dre. KD was the best, and that's why KD won 2 finals MVPs with the Golden State Warriors. So I can understand that, but in today's present day, I think it's Steph Curry. All right, so now on to my follow-up question, J-Nunn. I know I said it earlier, but I'm going to say it again. Do you think that the Nets are getting out of the East and you think that the Warriors are getting out of the West? Is this a finals preview, what we saw last night?
Okay, with the Nets, it's very tricky because, they don't have Kyrie. We don't know what's going to happen with Kyrie. James Harden has been underwhelming. And to me, James Harden, I don't know if he's going to get back to his normal self because he seems very out of shape. He seems a bit slower, especially with his first step. And he's been having some bad decision-making in some of these games too. So I don't know. It depends on if James Harden is going to play himself into what he used to be, that elite player that was like probably a top 5 player. If that happens, I don't see anyone stopping the Nets. If you
Okay,
have
so if that James Harden shows up, that James Harden that looks a little bit out of shape, a guy who's probably lost his first step a bit, if that same James Harden is in the playoffs, but Kyrie Irving's there, what are the Nets in the East?
if Kyrie Irving is there, I still see them getting out the East, no problem.
Okay,
Because we have
so
to remember, it was just Kyrie and James Harden against the Bucks, or Kyrie and Kevin Durant, against the Bucks.
nope.
And they were up 2-0 on them, absolutely blowing them out the water. The Bucks got game 3, but before Kyrie injured, you could tell that the Nets were obviously the better team. And the Bucks, they were the NBA champs. If Kyrie is there, they'll have no problem beating teams like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So no Kyrie Irving. Let's assume for the season, are the Nets getting out of the East?
If there's no Kyrie Irving,
No Kyrie Irving.
ooh, like I said, I'm gonna say yes because
Yes. Okay.
I'm gonna assume that James Harden plays himself into what he was, and
Okay.
I'm gonna assume that they have two guys playing at a superstar level in the
Okay.
playoffs, and that's James Harden and, in my opinion, the best player in the league, Kevin Durant. But
All
if
right.
James Harden does not play himself back into where he was, then I could see them losing.
Okay. Sounds good. What about the Warriors? Where you got the Warriors finishing out in the West?
The Warriors are my current favorite team to come out the West because, you know, Steph Curry obviously having an MVP season. They are a great offense. I think they're like a top 5 offense in the league, and then the best defense in the league.
Yep. Number one defense. Number 3 in offensive rating.
Yeah. And then I love their supporting cast, guys like Jordan Poole, who will have those great games, who have those big games in the playoffs where he gets like 25, and that helps you win a
You need
series. And
role
then
players
Andrew
to step up
Wiggins,
too.
yeah, Andrew Wiggins, that same type of dude. Draymond holding down the defense, being that communicator, that leader, and then Clay's coming back. I mean, Clay's gonna help a lot because I think he's gonna be great on offense. I think he's gonna come back a better shooter than he was before, just because he's been sitting out this long working on this shot. And once they get like Clay's little 20, 22 a game, then they're gonna be unstoppable.
And you didn't even mention Wiseman too. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna kind of jump in. If there's no Kyrie Irving, which Kyrie's not gonna get vaccinated, it's not gonna happen. The Brooklyn Nets aren't getting out of the East. I still got the Milwaukee Bucks. I think the Milwaukee Bucks can hold their own with the Brooklyn Nets. They obviously showed that they were capable of doing that last season without Kyrie Irving. James Harden has never been the James Harden in the regular season that he is in the playoffs. He's still an all-star caliber player, but I still have the Bucks getting out of the East. Yeah, they're in a slump right now, but the Bucks are still the best team in the Eastern Conference, and especially because Giannis wants it. Now with the Golden State Warriors in the West, you did mention Jordan Poole and their role guys stepping up, and I think Steve Kerr's actually done a great job with that. Steph Curry's the front runner for MVP right now. They're gonna get Klay Thompson back probably in December, some point toward the end of December, maybe early January is what the reports are saying. But to answer the question directly, I don't have I don't have the Warriors getting out of the West right now. I have to see a month of Klay Thompson playing with the Warriors. I got to see his rhythm. I know he's not some guy that's going to be, take up the ball and just chew up the shot clock. He's going to be a catch and shoot guy. That's what he is, right? One of the greatest shooters of all time. But I got to see Klay Thompson back into the rhythm of the game. It's been 2 years. This is pre-COVID since he's played in the NBA. Like, it's been that long since the 2019 NBA Finals versus the Toronto Raptors. Am I mistaken? Right? When he went down with that injury?
yeah.
Yeah, like we remember vividly watching that game, and we're still talking right now, and he still hasn't hit the court since then from that Achilles and ACL injury. So I can't pick the Warriors. I think a team like Denver could honestly beat the Golden State Warriors right now when they get Jamal Murray back. I think that team is deep, and I don't think that there's any stopping Jokic. I know there's no stopping Steph, but I just think that teams that got depth right now would beat the Golden State Warriors, as in the Lakers, the Jazz, and the Nuggets. I would say would probably beat the Golden State Warriors right now. I know that's probably unpopular. I just have to see Klay Thompson back. Once I see Klay Thompson back for 1 month, then I can make a full statement. But right now, I would have a team that's actually got depth, top to bottom, out taking the Warriors, though. But if Klay Thompson's completely healthy, Wiseman's healthy, and this team stays consistently hot, the Warriors are coming out of the West. There's no question about it.
Yeah, it's fair to base that question off of if Klay Thompson's gonna come back the same.
Mhm.
I don't know for sure, but like you said, he's going back into a catch and shoot role, basically. And, he played that and he perfected it. And I just really don't think that it's going to be that hard for him to get back into it. It's going to take a while, maybe, but I think eventually, especially before the playoffs, he will get back into his ways of just playing that role perfectly. Defense will be a question, but I don't think that's a problem when you have the number one defense in the NBA without
Yeah.
him. So
No, exactly. They're number one in defensive rating, number 3 in offensive rating. That number is only going to skyrocket their 3-point percentage as a team once Klay Thompson gets back. He's going to be put back into that catch and shoot role, obviously before his injury. And when they were going through their dynasty phase, he was one of the better perimeter defenders in the NBA. Like, that was never even a question. He's obviously not going to be playing at that level defensively. This team, I don't know if I can buy into them right now, 1 month into the season, even sitting at the 1 seed with Steph Curry as the front runner for MVP, as this team is going to the finals. I have to see Klay Thompson back. And I'm sure him getting back into the rhythm is going to be a lot quicker than a lot of other players. But 2 major surgeries, I can't definitively say that. So right now I have at least 3 teams, the Lakers, the Jazz, and the Nuggets ahead of the Warriors. Maybe not just in terms of standings, but this is a team that I think that would actually beat them in a 7-game series right now. Chop that up though. So JNunn, the Atlanta Hawks right now, they're struggling, man. Currently sitting at 6-9. Nice. Number 12 seed in the Eastern Conference. So what's going on with Atlanta, man? And give me your thoughts about what's going on.
it really just kind of comes down to this. If you look at our roster, we are a deep roster. Like, we are one of the deepest teams in the league. I would say probably top 3, top 5, somewhere in
Top 5. You're
between
top
there.
5 team.
Yeah. And our bench has had, I think, the worst field goal percentage shooting in the league. Like, our bench has been terrible this year. They provided our starting lineup no type of offensive help. Our bench is super talented, and eventually they're gonna play like they should be playing. And when that happens, we will be fine.
So the thing I'm noticing with the Hawks, in I want to say this unpopular opinion, maybe I think you'd probably agree. Bogdanovich needs to come off the bench to provide the bench with some spark and some energy. Swap him for Cam Reddish. Why is Cam Reddish getting 22 minutes a game? Cam Reddish should be their next borderline all-star on this roster who has the capability of doing that. And Nate McMillan's just giving him 22 minutes a game. Like,
Yeah.
I don't agree with that, and I got the numbers right here in front of me. Cam's averaging 11, 3, and 1. Not great, shooting 38% from the field, 37 from deep, 91 from the free throw line. But per 36, he's 18, 1, and 5. And that's not a perfect stat, right? But Cam Reddish should be, when you're thinking about the Atlanta Hawks, like, damn, they got John Collins, they got Trae Young, and they got Cam Reddish. That's what people need to start fearing. So they need to figure out something coming off the bench too, because Cam Reddish needs to be in that starting lineup. Trae's doing his thing, 25, 3, and 9. We know what Trae Young's going to do. He's going to carry this team. But Nate McMillan's got to figure something out with Cam Reddish, man. That guy needs to be in the starting lineup. He needs to be getting more minutes.
Yeah, bro, I agree, because Cam Reddish started the season off very good. If you watch this at the beginning of the season, he was putting up 18s, 20s, like, consistently for, like, the first 5, 6 games, And then, like, he started struggling a little bit, and then it's like McMillan just stopped giving him the ball, like, at all, bro.
Yeah.
Like, they try to treat him like he's just some spot-up shooter when you need to let him be
Run
able
that
to
pick and
attack.
roll. Yep.
Because in the future, we're gonna need someone to take pressure off Trae. So we either gotta trade these young guys and go get a star, or we gotta, like, let some of these young guys develop and, like, give them the ball, give them space to make plays.
They got to trade someone, right? And they probably got to trade a couple people. And as much as y'all love Kevin Huerter, Game 7 hero in Philadelphia, he's not cutting it this year. He's averaging, I think, 8 points per game right now. And he's actually shooting 30% from 3. Huerter's not cutting it. Bogdanovich, like I said, is a very good role player. Gallinari, very good player, and he does his stuff once in a while. But if you guys want to take that extra step, y'all have to go trade for an all-star caliber player. But you got to keep Cam Reddish. Have to keep Cam Reddish.
It's really as simple as just getting Trae a co-star, because you are not, most of the time, you are not making it out your conference unless you have 2 guys who are
minimum,
who are gonna go to that place on that big stage.
Yep, because you can count on Trae Young. We clearly saw that in the Milwaukee series, in the Knicks series, and in the Philadelphia series. Could be someone maybe Atlanta can go out and target, maybe at the deadline.
It's hard to say, because I really don't know who's gonna be available. Like,
Is
I
CJ
don't know. Like if the Celtics keep struggling, maybe they're down for a trade. Maybe we can go snag Jaylen Brown. Maybe the Timberwolves are ready to move on from Cat. Maybe we can offer them a trade. I really don't know, but like
You don't want Cat.
I don't know, bro. Who do you think we should go out and get?
I was gonna say Jaylen Brown too, but CJ McCollum 1. His value's a lot lower, right? And it's not because CJ's some bum. He's a borderline all-star caliber player,
Yeah.
right?
DJ
But
will go get us that 25 that we need behind Trey in the
every night,
playoffs.
I
Yeah.
want a guy who I know you can pass the ball to at the top of the key, get your own shot. Go and get your own shot. You're a high efficient player. Go and get your own bucket. And it's not just because Jaylen Brown can't do that. CJ, I think, is a better spot up shooter. I think CJ is a better shooter in general. Not taking anything away from Jaylen Brown, but also his value is a lot lower than a Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's looked at as a high number 2 in the NBA, maybe on a championship contender. I think you could put Jaylen Brown as possibly a 2. I think you'd have to give up the farm to get Jaylen Brown. I think you could get CJ McCollum for really good value. And I think him alongside Trae Young in the backcourt, that would go a long way. And I think that would even get them like almost as a lock in the Eastern Conference. If you gave up Herter, a pick, and maybe Gallo, maybe Bogdanovich, yeah, you might lose a little bit of shooting, but you're gaining a whole lot offensively speaking with CJ. And I think if the Hawks want to take this thing seriously, coming off an Eastern Conference Finals appearance last year, that's something that they need to go do at the deadline, is go and trade for a borderline all-star in Jaylen Brown or CJ McCollum.
Yeah, bro. I mean, if this roster steps it up and starts winning some games, I don't see us making a move. But if we keep playing like this, yeah, we are definitely gonna do something.